Obviously, there's a big negative for you on night 2.
Oh yes. But there was a big positive.
That was Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg beating The Miz. You love The Miz. That's a big negative.
Well, yeah. I was going to say the positive is Shane McMahon's knee exploding.
Like father, like son getting injured.
We need to save this goal for the pod.
Yeah. Well, it's all recording.
It is recording. I mean, why don't we just carry on?
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Figure Fourcast. As always, I'm your host King Damo and joined by my co-host Sammy Drip Drip. I was worried we won't be able to use these nicknames for much longer with the announcement of King and Queen of the Ring, but it looks like that's changed, so hopefully we can keep these going a while. But we're not here to talk about future pay-per-views. We want to talk about one in the past, Wrestlemania 39.
The big one.
It's been a couple of weeks now. I feel like it's had time to kind of sit in and percolate in the brain how good it was. But what will you rate it out of 5, Sam? Out of 5?
Out of 5? A 4.
4.
What would you rate out of 5?
I'm going to go with your old school 7 out of 5.
7.
No, I think a 4 out of 5 is it's not quite perfect, but it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, so Mania, there was a lot of good feel-good moments in there, which mainly why I went for the 4. I mean, night 1 was almost perfect, I'd say. Night 1 was absolutely fantastic, which we'll speak about in a minute. Night 2 was going great until something big at the end happened. I mean, I was about to say I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I'm sure most people, if not everyone listening to this,
has
seen it. Obviously, Cody losing was a completely wrong decision for me, personally. But we'll get to that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Let's sort of focus on night 1. What are your sort of overall thoughts?
Before we speak specifically about each night, I just want to talk about the general overarch of WrestleMania, because it's becoming such an event now. Now it's, especially as it's split between 2 nights. You've also got SmackDown and the Monday after WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania. Sorry, it's its whole thing now. Obviously, we've also now been joined by one of our friends who's also coming. It feels like it's becoming a much bigger event, both in the WWE and personally. Like it's got a little bit bigger now, and I think this has been one of the best recently we've had for a WrestleMania. Obviously, there's a few bad ones with like the pandemic just gone and stuff like that, and some really long ones before that, but this is one that I think stands out for me as being a really fun show to watch both nights, and it was just a really good event for us, I think. So
yeah, I completely agree. It's quite nice having someone fresh to wrestle in. Almost like he doesn't know anything that's going on behind the scenes, so he's not got that corrupt in him. So he just watches the product purely for the product. He calls the matches fights, which makes me laugh.
No baggage from being a fan for so many years and being whittled down by bad decisions and So it's been nice. You getting to enjoy it with a new fan.
Yeah, definitely. Let's jump into night 1 then.
Yeah.
What's your overall thoughts on it in general?
This was such a good card, I think, all the way through. There's only some minor disappointments. The Austin Theory John Cena match, I feel, went a little bit too short. I feel like it needed a little bit more of probably needed like a couple of minutes, but it needed a little bit more back and forth, I think.
Yeah.
But that's a minor grievance. There's nothing explicitly wrong with that match. I just would have liked a little bit extra. And Bobby Lashley coming out, waving his trophy, and then not having a match was also a bit of a disappointment.
Especially with what happened in night 2.
Yeah.
Like with the whole Shane McMahon thing. What a joke. But we'll get to that.
Other than that, and just looking at the list of matches we've got here as a little recap, there's no bad match on the show. Each one just kind of delivered what it needed to do. Even the unexpected enjoyment from the WrestleMania Showcase tag match.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was such a good match, and it I didn't think it was going to be. I just thought it was just going to be one of those matches, get a load of people on the card, They've done it so many times before. The Money in the Bank used to be that, then it was the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Now we've got this tag match.
Well, it lived up to its name, didn't it? It was just a showcase of tag team
and it delivered. So
yeah, I think one of the major gripes with Triple H since he took over creative, I mean, some would argue he's not in charge of creative now, which I think is fairly valid. One of the major gripes is that he's not booking the women correctly.
Yeah.
But one thing that he definitely has done is book tag teams correctly.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the whole division is so hot right now. Yeah. And this match kind of summed that up, because you had teams in there just showing what they could do, and like I say, it lived up to the name of Showcase. It was great.
I mean, we'll keep talking about the tag matches in the tag division. First main event of WrestleMania for a tag team match, and what a match. I was looking here, it might be wrong, it's on Wikipedia, but 24 minutes 15 seconds, longest match of the night.
It didn't feel like that though.
Did not at all.
I've watched it back a couple of times as well, and it definitely doesn't feel that long.
Right.
It's so enjoyable, it was perfectly paced, and the story was great. And they had the right winner, which always helps.
Yeah, feel good victory for Kevin and Sami. There is a little worry they might be having to drop the titles for the Saudi Arabia show, but I think there's enough going on in WWE at the minute that they can get away with the tag champions not being on that show. But it doesn't affect this moment for me. Like, no matter, we talked about it with title reigns where someone's won and then they've not had a good reign. It doesn't take away from the moment of them winning, and this was a great moment.
Yeah, exactly that. The image that will be in everyone's heads is Kevin and Sami lifting the titles over the Usos, right? So yeah, it was just a fantastic match, like I say. Yeah. One match that I guess was rivaling it for the main event was Rhea Ripley against Charlotte.
Yeah.
And I think that both of them kind of put on a main event performance, if that makes sense. Yeah, they really brought their A game, and it was showing like, yeah, we should have been the main event. It definitely was quite cool.
It definitely felt that they kind of went out there with that mindset of, we need to show that we should have been the main event. And on any other show, they should have been. They were so good, but everything just fell into the right places. I would argue they were better in ring in their match than the tag match was.
Oh yeah.
But 100%. The emotion and the story behind the tag match, I think it needed to go on last. And any other show, they would have been main event, and a worthy main event. Even though Rhea's the heel, she's such a beloved character that her getting the win.
And she's in there with Charlotte. People just don't like Charlotte. Charlotte's I mean, she's probably a really nice person in real life, but just her mannerisms as a wrestler, as a performer, just don't come across as babyface. They're just not likable, are they? She's a heel. She's so much better as a heel than a face. So it was nice to see her put in a good performance as well, because I really wasn't sure with this run since she's come back. It was really ropey. If you think back to that build, and since she beat Ronda, it wasn't great at all. So I kind of think like it redeemed it almost in a way. Like the match was brilliant, so you can just look at that match as a one-off rather than look at the story leading up to it, which is good. Got anything else to say on that one?
Not on that match. The other match I'm wanting to talk a little bit about was Seth Rollins, Logan Paul. The annoyingly talented Logan Paul.
Yeah, it's one that we always thought was going to be like kind of a low-lying banger. Yeah, in a way.
And it was. The Prime bottle coming out was brilliant as a little funny moment to start with. The reveal that it being KSI was brilliant as well, and then him obviously getting put through the table. It was such a great moment, both probably for him. I'm sure we had a great time just getting to be part of something, and it's going to be one of those things that I think when you talk about Logan Paul's career, we're going to have to talk about this splashing KSI in a Prime bottle to a table.
He's had some highlights in his short WWE career, hasn't he? Like facing Roman Reigns and that selfie video when he was going for the table. That the timing on that table spot was pretty great by all of them.
Yeah. You could kind of. Well, I could kind of see it coming. I'm not sure if Aiden.
No, I don't think
watching,
Aiden
knew it was going to happen.
He got excited, didn't he? But we've seen it a million times.
Yeah, you kind of could see the spot coming, but it didn't take it away.
No. I think this match really sort of highlighted how good Seth Rollins was to lead that, and for it to almost be seamless in a way. Because obviously Logan Paul, really good wrestler, really athletic naturally. But there's a difference between like being, because he's very green, between being green and then being a sort of an experienced vet, and Seth sort of led that throughout. You could tell it was great, really good. So top marks for Seth Rollins and Logan Paul and KSI and the table. I guess we're gonna have to talk about match of the night for me. In terms of entrances and story, Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
The enjoyment I got from this match was incredible. From when we first saw Dominic behind bars on the entrance, him coming out in handcuffs.
It made no sense.
No, it did not.
He didn't get arrested at the Hall of Fame. He just left, and apparently he just went and put himself in jail for this cool bit. But you know, WWE doesn't always have to make sense.
He's a bad man.
Enjoy the moment.
Bad men don't need to explain what they're doing.
No.
And Rey Mysterio's entrance in the Eddie Guerrero lowrider, great. Some great spots in it. Dominic got spanked in front of 80,000 people, or however many it was, and the millions watching around the world. I was waiting for you to do that then. I was waiting. So, yeah, it was great. His sister got a drink thrown in her face.
Yeah.
It was a good match. Really good match.
And it's one of those when we're going to have a running theme with this. The story's carrying on. We're still getting further stuff.
I really thought Rey Mysterio winning was the wrong decision. But they've carried on the story and somehow made it even better. Yeah,
it just keeps adding to it. So it's going to be interesting. I guess that's going to build... Well, there's two places that you can end this little bit of story. You can either end it at Money in the Bank because it started in England, you can bookend it with another show in England, or you carry it all the way to SummerSlam.
Started in England if you're American.
Oh, it's United Kingdom.
Wales.
Sorry, anyone.
Wales, England. You know, Cardiff, England.
I'll cut that out. Or you can carry it all the way to SummerSlam. They've got the whole stuff with the LWO and the Judgment Day, so there's enough to keep it somewhat fresh for a little bit. So
could Dom win Money in the Bank? The reactions he's getting,
he could.
Insane.
I would have said if we'd recorded this the day after WrestleMania, I would have been like, nah, it's not going to be him. But as we've been teased with a new championship and there's stuff going on, I feel like the Money in the Bank now could fall to kind of anyone because there's going to be other titles to go for. So yeah, there's no reason he couldn't.
The second place prize is up for grabs.
We'll talk about that in a future episode, but
yeah, I think that's night one pretty much covered. Like we say, great first night of WrestleMania, really leading into it, which what they've done in sort of these 2-night WrestleManias, all of the ones with crowds. The first night's been great, and they leave you
wanting more.
Yeah,
you want to come back the next night.
And damn, did I want to come back to see Brock Lesnar against Omos. Match of the night for me.
This was a match I had just no interest in going into. I was like, it felt like it came out of nowhere, as so many Omos matches do, and I didn't really have it. But together and Brock selling really helped, because Brock doesn't always sell well, but when he does, he makes people look so impressive. And Brock went into this and sold. So I mean, he came out the winner, but I think Omos still comes out looking really good. So I was pleasantly surprised by that match, even if going first was a slightly odd choice. It did somewhat play into storylines going forward, but it wouldn't have been where I would have opened the show. But
no, I mean, it got me hyped.
Yeah.
Everyone knows how much I was looking forward to this match, and it delivered for me. Right, it was a great story throughout. Brock Lesnar getting his ass kicked. Will he be able to pick up Omos for the F5? Of course he could.
Yeah.
And he did, and it was great. I feel like they might have some big plans for Omos.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we preview Backlash, but he's now having a match with Seth, which is 2 big matches, back-to-back pay-per-views.
I was impressed with him in this. He seems to have got a lot sharper, because like you think back to when he was tagging with AJ Styles a few years ago, and like he was okay, but he was sort of jolty. Like you could see behind the scenes almost. I think he's improved big time. 3 guys that definitely aren't jolty and are just brutal. The Intercontinental Championship match: Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew.
Sponsored by Mike's Harder Lemonade.
Yes, yeah.
Which I looked up. I can't remember if it was during the show or the next day. It's something like 8% lemonade, which that's.
It is harder.
That is harder.
And some of these chops in this match, oh my god.
Yeah.
It was brutal, some of the spots, and for me, I think it's actually match of the night for night 2. The right result for me, Gunther retaining.
I said I would have liked, I think we talked about it before, saying that you could have a situation where Drew wins, that he goes into a program with Sheamus to eventually crown Sheamus, and Gunther loses upwards.
Yes.
That would have been my ideal result for this, but given how other things went on, Gunther retaining makes no sense.
Yeah, for sure. This IC Championship reign, I think, is probably the best since I've been watching WWE. I'd say he's made the belt feel so prestigious, and the reign itself just feels like it's on the next level. Like it feels like the second title, and it means something. If you compare it to the US title, it's night and day.
The mid-card title has always been a weird position because we always know that they're just a stepping stone. Like, you win that, you see how you look with a belt. Do you carry yourself well as champion? Do you look good? Well, maybe we'll give you a run with one of the bigger belts. Obviously, at the moment, although there is 2 big belts, they're both held by one man. It makes those opportunities a bit more limited, but I do think Gunther has done well to make that title feel like a prize worth chasing.
Yeah, and you could definitely see the main belt on him. I actually think, looking forward to next year's WrestleMania, he's headliner.
Yeah, I could see that.
Against whoever is world champion, hopefully Cody Rhodes, because I think that match is money. Like the end of the Royal Rumble, if you remember those 2 at the end, they had their own little mini match almost, didn't they?
There's obviously a long time, and in wrestling, a year is like practically an eternity. Like you think some years how much things can change,
especially depending on who's in charge and their preferences on workers.
But I don't think that would be a bad match at all to have a Gunther Cody headline match.
Yeah, we're talking about bad matches. The Miz versus Shane McMahon.
This is.
I mean, it turned into something brilliant, but
car crash TV.
Yeah,
this is.
It was like, I can't remember exactly what happened. I think Miz and Snoop were in there, and Snoop said, "Oh, I've got an opponent for you tonight." And we were kind of expecting, Bobby Lashley's finally getting a match or something like that, or a returning legend. I guess in a way, if you can stretch legend that far, Shane McMahon came down, and I think there was a collective sigh. I was sort of in despair, but then 20 seconds into the match, Michael Cole says the infamous words, "Oh my god, Shane's still got it," as he then leapfrogs over the Miz and explodes his knee.
Like you couldn't plan a worse line to lead into that. He's literally mid-jump as Michael Cole says he's still got it.
It was just unbelievable. And the second bit where he tries to get up and his knee obviously explodes further or whatever, and he squirms around. Usually I wouldn't wish pain upon people.
See,
but
I'm still not wishing. You never want to see someone get hurt, even if it is someone that's very annoying, but it's just, I think him getting hurt isn't funny. The situation about how he got hurt is very humorous.
And being spared from a Shane McMahon match was fantastic. And what we got as a result, Snoop Dogg going on the fly, by all counts, and just decking The Miz and beating him in a match, hitting him with the people's elbow, was better than anything that they had planned.
Yeah, I mean, the showmanship to just be like, well, there's 80,000 people watching me, I'm going to do a people's elbow. Like,
and he pretended to slide off his elbow pad and everything. Incredible. Well done, Snoop.
He saved that segment, and I think that was the perfect kind of palate cleanser between two big matches, because you always need some ups and downs with wrestling. You need those little bits of break, and there wasn't a lot of room for that on this show. The way it was kind of structured, it just kept building in certain aspects, and I think that little ridiculousness for a couple of minutes was a great way to allow us to rest, ready for two real big matches. Let's just quickly talk about Bianca Belair and Asuka.
I'd say the weakest Bianca Belair match out of her against Asuka, Becky and Sasha.
Is saying something, because it was still good. It's just how good those other two have been overshadowed it so much.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen Asuka win. I think it would have made more sense. Asuka needs she's not won a match at WrestleMania, which is ridiculous.
She's not, but they're just not 100% behind Asuka. So if she wins, I can already see her title reign and it being completely underwhelming. It's just the way that they book non-English speakers. So the Japanese speakers, it's just...
Bianca Belair's title reign hasn't been anything amazing.
It's not...
Again, it's something that's quite overshadowed, I think, by other things going on.
Yeah, I think it was the better decision, though.
Yeah.
For what you have afterwards. Like, I'm more excited for her against Io Sky now. I was about to say Shirai. Io Sky than I ever was for her against Asuka.
Would Asuka Io Shirai be a big match as well, though? Like,
it would, yeah. But Asuka's whole... I said it before Mania. Asuka's whole run on... I was about to say the top flight. I'm speaking football. On the main roster in WWE has just been underwhelming.
Yeah, that's what I'm most surprised with the Triple H era of booking, is because obviously he was so high up on Asuka. She had that ridiculous undefeated streak, which he even worked around to stop that from her having to lose when she got hurt, and did all this stuff to maintain that, and then he just not really built her back up when he had the chance. Seemed a little odd, but it's a difficult job.
I think it's almost impossible to build her back up after they completely crushed her by losing a streak at the first sort of hurdle in WrestleMania.
I don't think anything's impossible.
You can't get her back to that level ever.
I don't think anything's impossible in wrestling. We had a series of matches in which Jinder Mahal was booked strongly as champ. He won the, if WWE was able to, even though that experiment failed, the fact they were able to even remotely do that, you can do anything in wrestling.
Maybe, but I think it's going to take a long time and better booking than what they've done.
True, but
just jumping ahead a bit, I think it's a similar case to what they've done to Cody now. We'll talk about the match in a minute, but the result, Reigns obviously went over Cody. Personally,
I called it.
You did. Half-heartedly, you called it. You called it partially as a joke.
I said when we recorded our preview, actually I don't remember if it was all on the preview or if it was some of it was just us talking. Cody got his big win by defeating Solo Sikoa on SmackDown, ending his unbeaten run, and Roman Reigns was going to hit 1,000 days as champion, and that's happening.
You did say it, to be fair.
I didn't want it to happen.
No, I think we both agree it's the wrong decision. And Cody just doesn't feel the same since WrestleMania for me. Like, before Mania, he was hitting 10 out of 10 on promos, like the crowd feeling and stuff. The crowd feeling's still great, is not a 10, and I just can't take him the same.
Is that because he lost, or is that because it's no longer the build to WrestleMania?
I think it's because he lost.
I think it's because it's no longer I think his promos for his feud with Brock Lesnar have still been good.
Oh yeah, they've been good. They've been 100% good, and it's been a great build. But
because it's not WrestleMania, it doesn't feel as big a deal. That's what it is. It's not.
But imagine his first title defense being against Brock Lesnar. That would have been a million times better.
Apart from we'd all be panicking that Brock Lesnar was about to win the title off him straight away.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's not better.
Yeah, no.
That's not better when it's Brock Lesnar.
It's jeopardy though. It's jeopardy. And like, I'm panicking that they're gonna put Lesnar over Cody now, because this is the hard times story. Like, he's not had the most hard times in wrestling to get back to the fucking top of WWE. Anyway, let's talk about the match a bit, and we'll talk about all of that at another time.
Well, the match went 34 minutes and 35 seconds, and I would say 34 minutes of that match was some of the best matches I've seen in a while.
Agreed.
Like, it's literally the last 30 seconds that, quote, ruin it. But I would be amiss if I didn't say that it was one of the best matches I've seen, even if the result went the wrong way.
It was, but the result just completely crushes it for me.
There's two moves, because there's one version of that match where Cody hits the third crossroads, gets the 1, 2, 3, and it's the biggest moment ever. And then there's the version we got where he gets Samoan spiked, speared, and several million people deflated. You especially. I was more just speechless, but you was very deflated when that happened.
That's the most deflated I've ever been for a wrestling result ever, because I just, with all of my heart, think that's completely the wrong decision, and there's not anything in the world that could change my mind on that. And I love Roman Reigns, I've loved his title reign, but this was the perfect moment for him to lose, and the perfect opponent to beat him.
Triple H said on the press conference afterwards, the story continues.
Yeah, but if Cody comes back, I still think Cody's going to be the one to beat Reigns. Possibly SummerSlam, possibly some other time.
Probably SummerSlam.
I don't think it has the same impact as him beating him at Mania in that story, personally. Unless they do something absolutely incredible between now and SummerSlam, which, fair play, but at this second when we're talking, I just can't see having the same impact.
If you build to a SummerSlam match, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, titles on the line, and then you throw on a stipulation, last man standing, for example, and you get to the point when Cody has won so, like, whether the bloodline is still going on at that point, like, that everyone's taken out and he's the one that stands tall, I think you still can get that moment.
Possibly. Even the whole bloodline stuff now, to me, doesn't feel
I think that's because Roman's not there.
Possibly.
Roman's been missing for a couple of weeks. He's obviously the focal point, but the stuff with Paul Heyman, what was it? He was talking about, like, he's had enough of you two, and he's kind of turns to use. He doesn't say that exactly, but that kind of stuff. It's still it's on the simmer for a bit because Roman's got some family stuff. I think he's probably spending some time with his wife and kids.
Yeah, fair play to him. I don't think for me it is because it's not because Roman Reigns isn't there. It just doesn't have the same level of importance for me now.
Yeah,
it feels, I want to say almost secondary, but not quite that. It just doesn't feel the same. It feels like everything should have imploded at WrestleMania for Roman. He's seen the Usos lose their title, he loses his title, and then the implosion of the bloodline thereafter would have been a better story for me.
Yeah.
But look,
I'm still intrigued in the story. When at the time of us recording, they're having a rematch for the titles on SmackDown. It'll be tomorrow night. I am super interested in that. I'm not going to stay up and watch it, but I'm going to avoid social media the next morning until I have the chance to get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't want that spoiled for me. I want to see what happens and experience that. So I think, but they've still got that stuff. I genuinely think it's because it's it not being WrestleMania season and Roman going just sucks a lot of excitement out of the shows. But I think there's enough going on in WWE that it's still There's a lot still going on that's really good at the minute. So
I think that's a fair take. Not one that I perhaps agree with, but I think it's a fair take. Well, time will tell.
Yeah,
time will tell.
I don't want to run this episode too long, even though it is a bump of WrestleMania episode. I don't know how much we were waffling before we started recording, but I want to talk about the Edge and Demon Finn Balor match, because the result for me is wrong, because it's kind of destroyed what little remains of the legitimacy of the Demon. But I want to talk mainly because of the injury.
Jeez, yeah.
Because there were so many people slating this when it happened of, WWE won't let someone bleed, like they've had to take him off to one side and clean him up.
We thought that as well when it was happening, but when we saw the extent...
So he had to get a staple at ringside and 13 additional ones afterwards.
Yeah. Almost to his brain.
It is a crazy... Just from something so simple as well. Those ladders are lethal.
Yeah,
I remember a match a few years ago, CM Punk... I think it was CM Punk Brock Lesnar feud, and Heyman kind of hit Punk with a ladder and just split him open straight away.
Can't gimmick a ladder, apparently, unless it's one of the wooden ones that people go through.
Yeah.
Or the Big Show's one. Do you remember the Big Show's ladder?
Because you couldn't climb a regular one.
Yeah. And the feet were breaking, but yeah, fair play to Finn. So after we've spoken about WrestleMania, you think a 4 out of 5 is still fair?
Yeah, because I'd say the first night probably gets slightly higher than a 4.
Yeah.
And the second one, just because of how deflated, and you always remember the last moment, pulls it a little bit less. But match quality across the board was good. Some of the results weren't right, but I think you can't get everything you want. Like, sometimes you gotta put up with.
You sound like Vince McMahon. And on that note.
No, we're not ending on that note. We're not ending on that note.
Okay, you sound like Triple H.
I mean, that's slightly better, I guess.
So I'm gonna throw.
I haven't grown a beard out.
He's gonna do the outro in Triple H's voice now.
I'm definitely not doing it live in Triple H's voice. I'll think about recording an extra bit when you've gone, because there's no way I get through that without cracking.
Well, there's WrestleMania done for another year. I guess wait round to listen for 30 seconds to see if Damien does in fact do the outro in Triple H's voice. Sounds like he's committed to it now. But anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do a Triple H impression, as it just sounded like me with a sore throat. So instead, I've asked an AI to write me an outro in the style of Triple H. So here we go. Until next time, stay tuned to the Figure Forecast podcast, the only podcast that brings you the latest in wrestling news and analysis. And remember, if you're not entertained, you can leave. Apparently that's how Triple H would end a podcast. It also suggests I end with a crotch chop, but this is a podcast, so you just have to imagine that, or probably you shouldn't. To keep up to date with us, you can follow us on Twitter at Figure4UK, on Facebook by searching the Figure Forecast, and on YouTube by searching the Figure Forecast.